conspiracy theories were true. Just like flat Earth. Imagine going for like a 2,000-mile hike or driving your car and you just fall off the fucking edge of the Earth. Like Truman Show, you know? Hello?
Oh, well, then you have that. You enjoy yourself, okay?
Hello? Okay, we were listening to Carl Orff here. Welcome to the President Trump house. Be sure to invite people to the room. I'm trying to get my Bluetooth to work here, but it's just so many Bluetooth connection problems. What am I going to do? It's annoying. Hello?
Just cherry picking the elements of the state that lean blue is not really helping adjudicate that, right? Like, so that's all I'm trying to point out. Like, this is a weird argument to have. Like, the answer's
anyone black, Jason, anyone that's lived here and has known the politics of the state, and that, you know, some of my family was deep in Democratic politics, believe it or not.
Okay, but I'm not trying to challenge like your
well, I'm telling you one purpose.
Like I'm just trying to make a general claim about the politics of the state of West Virginia, but it's not a controversial claim. The claim is that West Virginia over the years has a bunch of mixed politics, which is true. Which is why you get Democrat senators that are relatively moderate, and like Joe Manchin, for example, right? Because we come from a political milieu that's really fucking mixed. There's a similar story to tell in Pennsylvania with Fetterman. There's a similar story to tell in Arizona with what used to be Sinema and others, right? Like, that's all I'm trying to point out. That's not a controversial thing. It doesn't negate any of the deep history of your family or any of that shit. Like, that's just extra shit. Like,
and the only thing I want to add,
what I'm saying.
The only thing I want to add is
that like if we have to go back before the 50s, then we're gonna have to start accounting for like the large party like change of platform, right? Because the Republican Party obviously changed positions pretty strongly in the mid 50s and early 60s. And the Democrats changed a little bit as a result of that as well. But once we start getting that far back, then we're really obvious.
Okay, the point still stands that it's kind of a purple state, union state, some very strong pro-union, pro-Democrat elements, particularly around the New Deal and that type of shit. But we also have some pretty conservative very famous
Yeah, that part is true, and the Democratic blame is mostly driven by because there's a lot of working class people here. The main Democratic thrust in West Virginia revolves around workers' rights and protection for your average worker. To get it much outside that in the social issues, it's not so strong.
What's there? Actually, I want to talk about the DSA is supposed to be only
tremendously fun room with an unfortunate ending. Very fun room. Yeah. Because I was rooting for my team and my
I was tiger.
validated, but
That's a thing. Which is expected because had me attracted to those everybody does it. Republicans do it, Democrats do it. It's just not part of the game. It's a little sneaky in my opinion, but I get why they do it. What I'm really curious about is that truly
was it you that said, or somebody else said in the room that Republicans turned out to vote for El Sayed, keeping in mind it is a open primary. Was that you?
No, somebody else said.
Yeah. So it's it's an open primary state, which means Republicans can also go to the Democratic primary. And Mike Rogers, Republican candidate, won by default unopposed, he's endorsed by Trump. So Republicans may have crossed the line to help elect the least attractive candidate for the fall elections. I can't really hear you. Are you able to speak very clearly into the phone? Sorry.
You are black, you are garbled, it's a little matrixy. Can't hear you.
Didn't they say the same thing about Trump when he was a candidate in 2016? That them should register Republican and vote for him?
I don't know if it's true. It's more of a wacky, funny urban legend. But it could be true.
I mean, to adjudicate that, all you have to do is go back and see like how many people voted in this Democratic primary versus previous Democratic primaries, where just
This is a
previous.
high turnout here. With or without the Republican Party.
Is this going to be a record turnout midterm?
I think people are very motivated and active. I care around Trump. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm not so worried about the Senate, but it's more about keeping the House.
I mean, is something like Tallarico's even going to beat Ken Paxton in Texas?
Sure.
I feel bad.
Sure. Keep sending those checks, guys. Send those checks to Tallarico.
Texas doesn't like those weirdo young, he seems like, what's that guy's name? Beto or Bill, he seems like another. Yeah, Beto.
I am gonna take your AR-15.
No, he seems like an actual Christian, and Texans love God.
They don't love weirdo liberals.
Well, they love Texans and they love Christians. They love God. They love Texas, and they love the state of Texas. Ken Paxton doesn't seem to have like the love of God, the love of the state. A little bit, yeah.
Run by a Christian that God's non-binary and see how they react to that.
Oh, no. I forgot about that.
That's why.
He fucking said that.
Yeah, he did. Why are you trying to tell her he Christian resisting like that? It's not like
Oh,
Like
shit.
a new age.
That's worse than I'm gonna take your AR-15.
Texas also has a strong get out the vote campaign right now for Dems. It's very relational. So they'll be registering people, but they don't just register them and leave. They follow up with them. They keep it relational until election day and thereafter.
I mean, Fox
Yeah, it
News
is very
even posted an article recently. Fox News polling is showing that independents in Texas are leaning towards Tallarico at a rate of 68%.
Well, that'll swing the election.
Exactly.
I hope that vote is
If independents vote at a clip of like 68 to 30, or 65 to 30, or 65 to 35, if independents vote overwhelmingly for Tallarico, that will swing the election.
why would independents vote for Tallarico?
That's what the latest Fox News polling is showing, and the reason why is because Ken Paxton is like obviously a corrupt, hypocritical, like horrible criminal of a attorney general, and everybody knows it.
That sounds like an objective appraisal. I'm sure that's such.
I'm sure if you just look at his record, you can decide for yourself whether you agree with him.
I think it's true, but like what I don't understand is
Here's an objective appraisal. James Tallarico has a
but we're talking about Texas. That's the part that's not in the papers. I think there's a Texas issue.
don't forget about how many people have moved to Texas recently from out of state, from California and etc.
That's an offset. Texas.
I mean, the polls show Tallarico ahead by a couple of points. I'd say it's still within the margin of error. But the most interesting thing to me is when you get into the details of the polling. And like the fact that they have independents overwhelmingly supporting Tallarico at a clip of like 65 to 70%, and that Tallarico has more Democratic uniform support than Ken Paxton even has Republican uniform support. Those are pretty big factors.
The polls show that El Sayed was ahead by 20 points last night. Barely 65. I like that now.
Those are never wrong.
Well, they can be. They can be. I mean, this is Fox News, which I would assume would be more favorable to Ken Paxton's audience if it.
Depends on what poll.
They have their own polling institution, don't they?
I don't know.
Yes.
It's poll out. It's Trump is doing what so I think that Morgan, let me ask you, if you dug into that poll, what was the issue that was winning the independence in that poll?
Of the economy, for sure. It's the economy. And don't just take my word for it. Get Marshall in here. Marshall Rankin is literally on the ground knocking on doors for local Republicans in South Texas on the border. And like, I'm sure he can tell you with great explanation, great clarity, great detail, exactly what those primary issues are.
He just said yesterday or today that everybody he talks to is talking about affordability and economy. Everybody. Every door knocking.
Texan with the trust and Tallarico to address the issues.
The other thing they don't like here is the fact that, you know, there's a handful of billionaires that are overwhelmingly dominant regarding in-state lobbying, in-state education, in-state real estate, in-state oil. There's like 3 or 4 fucking families in the state of Texas that have an extreme amount of influence in Texas politics when it comes to the Republican Party, at least. And Tallarico is a billionaire. Let's not get it twisted. Tallarico is a progressive. You know, he definitely has a moderate tone, and he's very calm, cool, and collected. But he's very progressive in his ideology, and he is a Christian. He does seem extremely genuine. I believe that he actually is in it for almost all the right reasons. I haven't seen any sort of hint of like, oh, this guy might actually be corrupt. Oh, this guy actually might just be in it for himself. Like, it's not, you have a hard time finding where Tallarico's flaws are, other than the fact that he believes in a like non-masculine God. Which, as a Jew, I'm surprised El Normo disagrees with.
What do you mean?
You have no idea what it is to be in Florida. You know more about the dark side of the moon than you do about what my thoughts are and what your thoughts are.
Well, Morgan, can I just tell you something from someone that has been around a lot of churches. The stuff that you hear out in Tallarico, any church that I've ever been to, the the preacher, if you would espouse something like that, at the end of the service, would pull you off to the side and have a talk with you. It's that extreme in Christianity.
Which is really silly to me. The idea that like the entire fundamental like element of a lot of churches is some sort of like personification of God and his identity, or rather its identity to be more specific.
No, it's not that. There's fundamental teachings that, let me give you an example.
No, it's fine. I mean, we agree. They are fundamental teachings, right? But like the joke is that there's a personification of God that inherently makes it a masculine creature or feature of the universe.
Well, I mean, the Bible itself describes it as the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I don't know how there's non-binary in that description. That's from the verses themselves. That's not some interpretation that's literally in the text. And Tallery could not only do that, I mean, I can't think of right off the top of my head, but he's perverting the teachings. And there's a chapter in the Bible, or a book, it's called 2 Timothy. And if you go to that and read chapter 4, a lot of Christians will look at that, 2 Timothy chapter 4, and start reading and say, yeah, that's the guy right there that he's talking about. The guy in Michigan, I think that what makes him so dangerous as a candidate, I think he's kind of homogenized all the grievances in the working class along with social issues and kind of congealed them in one big ball of wax to like, pick your grievance. I'm for it.
As far as the DSA goes, I think on a local level, they're helping the Democratic Party rebuild some sort of enthusiasm amongst people who are apathetic independents and also the base, the core of the liberal left. But in addition to that, on a federal or a national level, the DSA in the long term will only be as successful as their own policies allow them to be when or if they somehow be able to actually get major things passed. What are those things? How quickly do they try to implement some of the more extreme ends of their policies? But I think one of the big things that the DSA candidates have been pushing for, that maybe the only thing that they've been pushing for that I can really get behind is like the idea of a ranked choice voting system, where everybody just kind of ranks all of their fucking candidates in order of favorite to least favorite. And it's funny to me how whenever that topic is brought up as like a thing that will actually do a lot towards creating a more competitive political climate, I can't find anybody who can really argue or debate that on any serious level, other than like, oh, ranked choice voting is too confusing. And it's like, if that's your only criticism, you just have never like taken a poll of people's favorite ice cream flavors in order of favorite to least favorite.
I agree with you, Floyd. I mean, Jason knows we got ranked choice voting out here. I love it. I think it's the best. I think it's the best change that's ever happened because you know you don't have to pick from one party. You can pick across the board. And I think one of the most interesting things that happens with ranked choice voting is that even in districts that are Republican or Democratic states, in California, when you think about either state or federal level, it does cause a different kind of debate. You're going to have two Republicans, sometimes there's two Democrats who hopefully are representing different spectrums of the party. And so people get some kind of actual substantive debate about which kind of Democrat or which kind of Republican do you really want to have, right? In that regard. It's not confusing. It's very easy. It's very easy. Yeah, when you get those, we do mail-in voting, like when you get that sheet, yeah, sometimes it's like 15, 20, 30 people, but hey, I don't mind having 15, 20, 30 people to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, it really does seem like it would force candidates to moderate their arguments and or positions, or at least make overwhelmingly compelling arguments for why their unordinary, extreme positions are the best. And if you really want to win an election in a competitive ranked choice race, you're going to have to do that. One or the other, if not both.
And it can overcome the money because I know this was like some years, it's not that long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, something like that. But there was a guy who was running across the water in Oakland. He was running for mayor. He was